Hey guys, I got a viewer sent something in and kind of want to get it out to y'all. It kind of reminds me of something we're going to try to talk about on the live coming up. The live that we got coming up, I want to talk about the hitchhiking effect, and I'm going to go into how that happened that affected my family, I guess. So I want to share what this person sent in. I thought it was pretty interesting. He says, firearms deer season. In November of 2018, I was in my ladder stand just before light. It was extremely foggy. As light broke, visibility was very limited as the sun started to burn the morning fog off. I noticed what I thought was a deer. It was right at the edge where the hill I was hunting. I watched it for several minutes. All I really saw was maybe the upper third of its back. I noticed real quick it wasn't moving like a deer and it was maybe 60 yards away. Basically, it was the outline to the fog. I raised my rifle up to look through the scope to try to get a better look. What I saw at first that registered in my mind was it was a very big cat. I faintly could make out the ears and tail. Mind you, it was foggy. That made me realize why there were no deer moving nor anything else. I kept watching it and realized it was coming toward me. I got turned around and had my rifle ready. The movement didn't spook it, and that started to bother me. Then I realized it was possibly stalking me. I took the safety off the 308 and turned the scope up, hoping to see it better. That's when I saw it wasn't no cat, and it was closing on me. I wasn't scared, I just had no idea what I was looking at. I'm guessing it was about 40 yards at this point. I could see it had yellowish eyes and short bushy tail. It was keeping its eyes locked on me. That's when I realized this thing was about 6 to 7 foot long without the short tail added to the length. It had to be at least 300 to 400 pounds. It kept slowly creeping toward me like a stalking cat. By this point, as it was closing in, I decided it was either me or him or me. So I put the crosshairs on its chest because it was quartering toward me, and I pulled the trigger. It turned and was gone. So quicker than anything I've ever seen. I've hunted these hills in the Ozarks for almost 50 years. I've seen things at long distance I couldn't identify. Some bipedal, which the old timers when I was growing up referred to as boogers. Never had anything like this ever get anywhere this close to me before. Well, I asked him what he thought he saw, and he sent me back a reply, and I want to share the reply with you guys. He says, when it happened, I had no idea what I saw. I knew it wasn't a cat. The head, tail, and body looked more like a wolf the way it was built. I shot it in the chest, heard the smack of the bullet. There was no blood or hair. It ran off faster than any critter in those hills I'd ever encountered that close. Fall of the next year is when I saw it again. This time, I was archery hunting. I was in the same spot stand, which faces a small power line. I was watching some does feeding in the power line about 30 yards away, waiting to see if one of the bucks I'd been getting on cam would show up. It was maybe 45 minutes before sundown when I heard something coming up behind me. I thought at first it was the big buck, as much noise as it made in the leaves. I soon realized what I was hearing wasn't on four legs. I just froze and watched the does for their reaction. They at first just stared in the direction of the motion. I knew whatever it was had to be big because I misjudged the distance behind because it was taking way longer to get there. The does panicked all of a sudden, and they dashed off into the trees across the power line from me. They were stomping and blowing, looking right behind me. I could tell that whatever it was had to be right behind me because I heard the footsteps in the leaves and the dead branch snap. I slowly turned my head to the left. There it was. It was 12 foot or less, standing on two legs, just staring at the deer. What I thought I was seeing was a freaking werewolf. Same eyes, tail, body size as what I'd seen in the previous year. As I stared at it, I still remember what went through my mind when I realized what I thought this thing was. I kept saying to myself, God, please don't look up. Please don't look up. It was built like a wolf, but it had lanky, muscular arms. The forearms were extremely long. As you hear about the hands, kind of raccoon-like, naughty looking knuckles with claws, I'm guessing 3 to 4 inches long. All of a sudden, it leaped in the real flood-like movement, going to all fours over halfway across the power line toward the does. All I know was it crashed through the underbrush, sounding like a truck does, busting through the woods. Then I hear the partial doe and distressed bleat and a total silence. I was hunting with a crossbow due to an accident in previous years. I can't walk very far and was so thankful that my truck was just a few minutes' walk from the stand. I sat there a good 20 minutes and heard nothing else. I got down and hauled ass to the truck as fast as my shaking legs would move. When I got to the truck, there was an ungodly smell of urine. I have to cross a huge mud hole to get in and out of the area, and there's always stagnant water in it. The mud is on my truck would be mostly dry by the time I was through hunting, but I soon discovered it had pissed on the driver's side bed of my truck. Normally, I hose my truck off when I get home in the evening to get the mud off. This stunk so bad when I came home off the back road to the highway town was just a few miles. I turned left right to go home. Maybe 4 miles. It took it to town to the car wash, probably the best washing my old 4x4 ever got. I went home afterwards, still in a funk. Remember getting a big gun. He got a big gun. And he loaded it up. And he started watching his security cams till 3 or 4 in the morning. He lived alone at that time and has moved, but he has also seen it again in the woods, but not as close. His story reminded me of a hitchhiking effect that happened at my granny's, and we're going to talk about that on the live on the 11th. He talks about the urine smell on his truck. Well, in the hitchhiking effect that happened at my granny's that started all this, there was a smell that was on a vehicle that came from a different location that caused all this to happen. But then he also reminded me of another video I done of a place I haven't been able to get to yet. And it's a lady that contacted me that said that she had urine thrown on her, which I guess it could have urinated on her because it was in the dark, she couldn't tell. So that's twice it has urinated either on somebody. Well, she was in her vehicle, so it got on her vehicle too. So on 2 vehicles, that has happened twice. So that kind of made me think of some things. But then another thing, and I am going to this place, trust me, I'm going to this pond that they fenced off. It is in the future coming up. Another thing that really caught my attention on this video was whenever I was reading it, he said that he was in an accident, which I'm assuming he has a disability. These things hunt people that are disabled. They know if we're disabled. And again, they take advantage, and they're opportunists. If they think that they can outwit us, outthink us, outsmart us, overpower us, catch us off guard, catch us in a vulnerable position, they'll take advantage of that. If they see you as a threat, I do not believe they will face you head on. And the reason I think that, is because in the woods, everything knows that if it gets injured, that can be death. A small cut in the woods can be a death. They're not going to risk becoming injured in order to try to get something. They're going to go after the lesser risk meat, which at that point, I'm sure that he noticed it was there, and it knew that he was armed. I'm sure it saw it. So it decided that the deer was the lesser of the two from it sustaining any injuries. But I do believe, coming up behind him like that it may have had him on its dinner meal. And if he's still seeing it in the woods, that he's going out now that he's moved, I would stay still following him. See, my mom, she had an encounter with a werewolf, is what she believed it to look like. She was bothered from the age, and I'm not exactly sure on the age. I'll have to get with her when I write the book to be precise, but around 13, I believe. Ever since that day, it happened at her house all the years. It was always there. It bothered everybody. mainly Mom. To this day, if we go to the woods down there fishing, it'll find her. And it does the same thing today as it did back when she was 13. My mom is older now. So whatever this is, after all these years, has not forgot her or her scent or her, what she looks like. Once these things lay on you, lay their eyes upon you, or they decide that you're interesting to them, or they imprint on you, or whatever they do, maybe even trophy hunt you, I'm not sure. They're going to be after you from that day forward. I don't know why they do it. Nobody does. My uncles didn't. My uncle was in Vietnam. He was a ranger. My other uncle was a Navy SEAL. I've had a lot of family in the military, law enforcement, all kinds of backgrounds. And this thing scared everybody. I asked my uncle one time. He seen it face to face, and I asked him, I said, what did it look like? He never told me exactly what it looked like. All he ever told me and my cousin was, you better pray to God you never get close enough to see. And that's exactly what he told me. He's seen some horrible things where he came from. But he said, we better pray to God that we never get close enough to see, okay? Well, I asked my mom what it looked like, and she gave me a description of what it looked like. And I'm looking for a photograph that she has that was really close to what it looked like. A friend of hers found it. Steve actually found it, so Steve may have the photograph. I'll have to see if he still has it. What I have seen has been at a distance. The closest thing I have seen yet was probably 20 feet from me, besides the thing I shot in the cattails, but that was dark. And it was a large face, a green face. I thought it was a bullfrog at first. It was a scaly face with the yellow eyes. It was pretty large. That was the closest thing I'd ever seen, and I thought I was like, what in the world is that? But then I was watching a show last night, and it was William Shatner done a video, and they talked about a creature on there that blew my mind, about a kid changing a flat on the side of the road, and what he saw was the same thing I seen. So that's why I say there's, in my mind, probably 4 unknown creatures out there that are not documented. As far as Bigfoot right now, just my opinion, not saying I'm right. Everybody has an opinion. I respect everybody's opinion. I'm open to being, proven wrong. And if I'm proven wrong, that's fine. I just want the truth. But sometimes I wonder, the Bigfoot, the Dogman, and the Werewolf, if they're not the same thing. And the reason that I wonder that is, in a lot of native stories, the Vikings, a lot of them, whenever they talk about seeing these Bigfoots, they talk about some had snouts and some didn't. Okay? But the distinguishing thing that throws me off, and I think probably shows a difference in them, is the footprint, because you have dog footprint looking prints, and you have the Bigfoot footprints, and then you have the 3-toed footprint. Okay, I think the 3-toed and the Bigfoot are the same thing. I think that was just a Bigfoot that had a mutation or something along those lines that was crossing into Louisiana at the time, the Rougarou. But Dogman and Bigfoot share a lot of similarities, even if they are different. You see them in the same places. They run together. And there was one guy actually made a comment that I was talking to, and he said, what if the werewolf dogmen that we're seeing, what if they are actually the juvenile Bigfoots that haven't matured? Maybe that causes their footprint to be smaller, and as they mature, which we know they grow to be huge, it changes, right? So, and their snout maybe gets shorter as they go into adulthood. But that's just been something I've wondered, we've talked about. I'd love to hear your all's opinions on it. Like I said, it's just an opinion. I respect everybody's opinions. Everybody's on here is going to have different opinions, and we're really blessed to have a channel like we do, that we all accept each other's opinions, and not everybody tries to cut everybody's throat like they do on a lot of channels Only way we're going to learn is to work together, listen to everybody's opinions and their encounters, and we just put it all together. That's how we'll find the truth. You'll never find the truth if you know everything, because a know-it-all will never know. I appreciate you all watching. Keep your head on a swivel. We're going out on an investigation soon. It's going to be a daytime. We're going to be looking at an area and possibly revisiting it in the dark, depending on what we find. Like I said, keep your head on a swivel. Thanks for being here. God bless y'all, and smash that like button, and we'll see you on the next one.